Hi, good morning. I'm going to be talking about oil on this Toyota Alphard and how to check the oil levels and also the quality of the oil. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to actually find the releases. So the release mechanism is on the driver's side, and we're going under this area to the panel here, and you will see the two latches on there. So what we need to do is just pull back that latch and release the bonnet. Okay, so the clip is right in the midline, about 2 centimeters back, and you're pushing up with your finger and release it, and then you'll see the little engine stay there, little bar, which unclips and locks up here. Now that we have that in place, we can then go look at the dipsticks. Now there's two dipsticks in this Toyota Alphard. This is the V6. As you can see, there's one over there with the yellow handle, and that is for the oil, and there's another one there with the transmission on. And you'll notice in the transmission one, it's got this little clip here which has to go over and secures that that dipstick in. Okay, so we always just make sure, it takes a second to check, make sure it's located. Now this one here doesn't have any clips, etc., so it just pulls out. Okay, but the one thing to mention when you're checking the oil is in certain cars you have them hot and some you have them cold. On this particular car I would use it cold, and the reason for that is because hot oil just runs and you won't get a measurement on your dipstick. It will just disappear very quickly. So I'm going to use it as at cold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the dipstick out, wipe it, reinsert it, and check it. Now you try and do this on level ground because otherwise you'll get a false reading. Okay, and you want to do it several times to see where the reading is. So let's try that. So you can see that I've chosen a kitchen towel, white kitchen towel, to wipe the oil on, and that allows you to actually check the color. So if you're using a dirty rag, etc., yes, you'll be able to wipe the oil off, but you won't be able to see the color. And here you can see it's kind of an amberish, kind of brownish color. It's not black, and I'll be coming back to the colors. So let's just pull out this wipe down oil stick, and look at me going vertical upwards, and there you can see that the oil is above the two dots, not too high, but you want to have it between the two dots. And I think that the distance between the two dots is 1 liter, is equivalent to 1 liter of oil. So that's what you really want to be aiming for. But you can clearly see that it's between the two dots. So you can see this may need a little bit of a top up, and because the oil is this kind of amber color, that's fine. I'm just going to top it up with a little bit of oil. Well, not really, because I know that this car is going to get an oil change, but if you weren't going to do an oil change, then yes, you would just top it up. As I said, I would do this several times, and just to make sure you're getting a good reading and an accurate reading. So when you're topping that up, as I said, I think it's about 1 liter of oil between the two dots, so you don't need to do too much. Top it up little by little, start the engine, let it sit, check it again. Okay, you don't want to put too much oil in because that can damage the seals with the pressure, and too little oils can damage the engine. So let's go back to this sheet that we've actually got here. So we light the color of unused oil is a very, very kind of golden syrup, light golden syrup color, and this is just like a brownie color. Now one of the things that I like to do is look at the consistency of the oil and see if it's gonna, if it's very thin and fluidy, in which case that may indicate that the oil is broken down. A dark color can indicate the oil's been sitting there a long time, or it can indicate heavy engine wear as well. So that's another thing. A black kind of sooty color is an indication possibly of engine wear. So I like to see this like golden brown kind of color. One color, if you're buying a new car, which kind of bothers me, is a very golden brown, because that indicates that it may have had a fresh engine oil change, and that can hide a multitude of scents as well. So I like this color. If I'm buying a new car, I would like to see, or a used car, I'd like to see this kind of color. And then the other thing I like to do is quickly just smell it. So it just takes a second to smell the oil, and if it smells of petrol, then it could indicate a problem with seals and petrol getting into the oil system, or it could just simply mean that the car hasn't been utilized for quite a long time. That oil has just sat there, the car's just sat there picking up fluids. Some of the colors that you don't want to see is a kind of like a browny kind of milky kind of color, because that indicates that there may be water water ingress into the engine as well, so that can be a problem too. So you don't want to have that kind of like mayonnaise kind of look, because that could indicate that water is ingressed into the oil. So I've mentioned the color of the oil and the smell of the oil, and I'd just like to add that you need to put everything into context and just not see one thing as an isolated in isolation. So the black color of oil doesn't necessarily mean that it's terrible, because also things that you add into oil, additives, can also mean that they discolor the oil. So it could be just additives. But always look at things in an encompassing way, looking at all the different signs that you see. If the engine looks terrible, if the engine sounds terrible, if it's juddering, etc., then these may be indications of a problem that is being hidden by fresh oil, or may be an indication that oil which is black hasn't got additives in it, but is just full of burnt hydrocarbons which are causing engine wear as well. If you have the opportunity to look into the filter as well, it might be worthwhile looking at your filter to see if there's any metal particles in there from a very abrasive and aggressive movement of the gearbox that would drop, little metal particles, and you'd have to cut your oil filter open. But all these little things build up the story of your vehicle, and if you've not bought a vehicle, then certainly it's worthwhile just checking these before you part with money. Okay, I hope that's really helped, and as always, this is just a start to your education on oil and oil levels. Just keep on adding on to it. If you put too much oil, by the way, into your vehicle, just drain it out. Don't try and start the vehicle because that can create problems as well. It can blow out seals and just cause more damage. If you're thinking of adding a cleaner into your oil as well, then you want to read up on that as well, because in these old vehicles you could actually weaken the seals as well by removing burnt on carbon, which is basically sealed certain seals shut and certain gaps shut. So always be careful and move cautiously with your vehicle. But hopefully this will help you. If you're buying a new vehicle, you can quickly do these checks, and as I said, always put everything in context with everything you see. Take care.